yeah, it kind of seemed like you were just getting this new practice off the ground. So I figured, and I know what it's like to set up office hours. So I figured I would show up.
I've never done them. I've been putting it off, and I just got the stuff up on the website last week, and like, okay, it's on my calendar. I'll do the thing, and then today was like, maybe I won't, but okay, fine. I got other things I could do.
Yeah,
You know,
let's
so
do it.
I haven't because I haven't advertised it anywhere. So
Yeah,
yeah,
good for you.
cool. So tell me a bit about you. What do you do?
Just hanging out at the moment. I was at Meta for 10 years. I left at the end of last year. I was before that, I was a software engineer for 20 years, full stack web and mobile. But at Meta, I joined as a partner engineer, which is kind of like this externally facing engineering function. And then I got switched to the management track. And over 10 years, I ended up as a director of partner engineering. And so I had all of this amazing experience, but then the company kind of turned into shit. And,
Are you
and I left. So,
couldn't
so
stand
yeah,
being there
then,
anymore?
yeah, I mean, it was rough. Anyway, so I took a few months of not working and really enjoyed that. And I feel like I've recovered. Um, but the reason why I'm here is because recently, kind of like my thinking has evolved to the point where I'm pretty sure I want to be working as a mentor, advisor, fractional CTO, fractional, VP Eng. Basically, for many, many reasons, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. Um, but one of the main ones is I just feel like I have so much experience and so much that I could do to help more than one company at a time.
Right. Yeah,
Is kind of like my main instinct.
sure. For myself, I found that I think it was video games that really broke me. Because I shipped in 4 years at EA, I shipped 14 products,
Oh wow.
right? And for both internal and external facing. So actual games, internal platforms,
Yeah.
things, major feature, not feature size, but major, we would consider
Yeah.
things like complete
Product.
applications
Yeah.
in the SaaS world, right? But major products within a game, things of that nature, that to the point where like I don't ever want to work on one problem at a time and one product at a time anymore, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, Google and Meta and stuff, they have lots of different things, but still
Yeah.
exceptions apply, but a lot of times you're working on the thing,
Yeah.
the
Right.
feature.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. And I think, yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff might sound obvious in retrospect, but again, like not thinking about work or career for a while, for a few months, has helped me kind of like see these obvious things that weren't maybe not as obvious when I was in the thick of it. But yeah, at Meta, I managed a portfolio. I mean, I felt like a CEO or CTO of my own
right.
business unit,
Yep.
and I had lots of different teams working on lots of different things, and I was managing, investment horizons and, budget, like money over, different time frames. And then I was, getting out of that. It was like, everybody's asking, well, what do you want to do? Or like, hey, please help me on my startup. And I'm like, something about this feels weird. Like signing up to do one thing
Yep.
feels off.
And I mean, especially startups. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that fractionals only apply and only can work for startups, but a lot of people wind up wanting to work with early stage companies.
Yeah.
And that means that they're bringing in a lot of experience and the ability to not have to spend all of their time working on them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because you're not the founder. You're not,
Right.
you're not full-time invested mortgaging your houses and everything else.
Yeah. Right.
you know, because
Yeah.
you're not the person that is in love with the thing they're trying to build.
Yeah.
And so finding a way to do that and still, you know, make a successful business out of it is,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, cool.
Yeah. The other way I think of it is like, it's, kind of like the leverage of the contribution. So like ideally I'm helping somebody, at a, make an inflection point. Like, if I can spend an hour with somebody and change the trajectory, even if it's incremental in a positive way, that's like way better use of my time and way more impact than if I like showed up every day,
Right.
and
Yeah.
works 12 hours. Yeah.
Exactly. And it allows you to bring in the outsider view. I was just watching.
Yeah.
I've been slowly working my way through the Madden documentary that was released this year.
Oh, right.
And from it came along with Madden 25, and because I never worked on Madden core games, but I worked on Madden mobile games. And I started to take over some of the infrastructure stuff for Madden before I left. That transition is what caused me to leave.
Yes.
I had to give up everything I'd built over 4 years and walk away from it to go join another team to keep my job.
Yeah. Yep.
I was starting over, and I'm like, if I'm going to start over, I don't know.
Yeah.
If it were happening today, I don't know if I would have made the same decision. But
yeah, I mean,
but it's interesting to hear them talk about some of the problems, these things that we experience. And they're talking about it from the building one game over and over and over again.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, well, what does your current step look like? I mean, if you're thinking of taking this step, what are you doing now?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've done contracts here and there in my, in 30 years, but for the most part, I've been an employee. Even when I was a consultant, I was typically working through a consultancy and I was getting, I was on a payroll.
Yep.
So part of what I need to do is just making this mental and like logistical switch to being independent. My wife has been an independent for a really long time, so I kind of like know what all the moving parts are. But I need to get all of that lined up, and then it's like cold starting the pipeline. So I've been like talking to everybody that I know. Today I was talking to a startup that I've been mentoring for, and floated the idea of like making it a formal advisor arrangement, and they seemed to be interested. So, and then so I see mentor, advisor, fractional CTO, as kind of like a part of the pipeline.
Yeah.
And then just reaching out to being at Meta is kind of like a time warp. It's like 10 years past, and like I don't know what happened in the real world. So I'm like reconnecting with my old network, and then also talking about all of the great people I met at Meta. Like I had a mentor who's a VP there that offered to introduce me to a VC that he knows is doing good work. So again, it's just like I'm like and I'm talking to founders and all day, every day. So yeah, just filling up the pipeline. But it really feels like I'm going to have more work than I have time for very quickly.
Right, and that is a hugely good problem and it's the thing that people overlook. Because I don't know about you, but my motivation to operate a business is to make money. I can solve problems for people for free. I can do all sorts of things. I can give my time away in all sorts of ways. But I do this. I sit at my desk and do typing at the keyboard and the talking to people thing. I do that for money.
Yeah.
And so recognizing that if that's part of the why you do this, then it means figuring out how to be profitable. There's, you can be extremely profitable or you can completely be unprofitable. And anywhere in between, but to get to anywhere other than I'm just selling time at cost, right?
Right.
You have to be intentional about it and think about it. So, thinking about how you offer it, but how you price it, how you offer it, how you package it, what you do, who you do it for, all of those things but they do come easier if you can find people that are willing to buy and get you kickstarted. Even when you don't know what you're selling, right?
Right. I totally agree.
Keep your engagements, find a way to keep those engagements relatively capped, right? A built-in time box is an easy one. Say, we're going to put 3 months on this. We'll do 90 days or 6 months, or we'll do whatever it is. And just that way you can come back and revisit it. You have a natural revisit point, right? Because once you're busy and you're turning away work, you can raise your prices. You can experiment with offerings. And that's where you can turn it into a profitable business.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And as you were talking, I was thinking about, I don't have a ton of experience on the contractor side, but when I was at Meta, we're constantly working with outside companies, whether they were partners or contractors. And I could kind of like see from the other side some of these things that you're talking about happening. So yeah, it totally makes sense.
Because you think about it, if you're working with one of these outside agencies and they've got the smallest ones that are probably operating probably have 10 to 20 engineers and two or three people on the business side that are these are sourcing engineers and placing them and managing the account with you guys. And that's if all they had were people with you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they've got to build profit, pay all those other people off of those 10 to 20 people.
Yeah.
Which is great, but you've got to do it with one person.
Yeah, totally.
You got to pay that person and pay the business expense of doing the rest of the work.
Right.
The actual business itself isn't that expensive to operate. More expensive in California because your LLC and business incorporation front cost.
Yeah, California is ridiculous.
I was talking to a buddy in New York, and when he set his up, he was like, "I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it." And it turns out it was $7 for like 10 years. And I'm like, that puts my 150 a year to shame.
Yeah.
But it is very interesting the different states and how they treat this business setup thing. But you can do the minimum. Just do the minimum. Like, know who you're going to call for insurance after you've got a client that said we're going to pay you.
Right.
Yeah. Your insurance broker is happy to get it set up by tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cool. So you're starting to talk to people. Have you kind of started to think about like any kind of industry focus or technology focus or any kind of specialization at all?
Yeah, I'm thinking startups again, because it kind of fits the mentor advisor fractional CTO kind of like life cycle. So they're super early stage mentoring or advising. And then if they're kind of like just like pre PMF or like post PMF, offering fractional CTO. But I'm also like really flexible if there's something that makes sense. Like if somebody just needs somebody to like get their engineering team in order, or like less of a CTO and more of like a specific engineering problem, like transitioning from a couple of independent contractor engineers to like actually having an in-house development team of employees. Like I could totally do that in my sleep. So
building it up, making sure that the rest of the organization knows how to work with this in-house team, making sure that you staff the top levels of it appropriately, that type of thing.
Yeah. So again, like I have lots of leads, and it's just like, it's going to take time to. I have no data for how long it takes, to close these things, but I will figure it out.
It's funny. It really, really is network dependent and you dependent. You do the work and you get out there. Sometimes, a lot of people I talk to that are in that position with a good network that sees them as a leader. There's no question. There's no, I only see you as an engineer. I only see you as a mentor, right? And they have a diverse work history and many people who've gone many different places. Those guys, a lot of times, they can land something in a week. Whether they should have landed it in a week, it's possible. And then other times, that the guy I was talking about that set up at $7, I think it was like $7 for New York, right? It took him 2 years to land his first client, but he knew that he didn't want to do a lot of things. And he wasn't sure what it was he did want to do, but he knew there was a lot he didn't want to do. So he was getting out there, talking, listening, thinking about what he's doing, figure out how to apply that, figure out what focus that was. And, he eventually niched into one segment, and then that niched further into a segment that applies to a specific industry. Right.
Makes sense.
And he's only got a handful of potential customers, but he can charge enough money that he doesn't
Yeah.
have to, because he's the only one talking about their problem their way.
Yeah. Yeah. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I'm hearing from you is kind of like a motif is this, what I take as, there's no substitute for kind of like exposure and experience and doing the work. Like you will figure out what you need to figure out by doing it, which
Yes.
I'm a big believer in. That's basically my entire career as a
Yep.
self-taught engineer. I've had to do things that way.
Yeah. Same here. Everything I've done. And when I started down my soloist path, that was not just being a contractor.
Mhm.
I One of the first conversations I had, the guy opened my eyes and said, "People don't buy DevOps." I'm like, and that was 2016, and Mike was right. Right, this is Mike,
Yeah.
the partner for Corey Quinn and in Duckbill Group, and last week in
Mhm.
AWS. He has some clue what he's talking about, and we've known each other for about 10 years before that point. So, and and he's like, "People don't buy what we do. You have to
Yeah.
figure out how the thing you do applies." Now, as an engineering manager, as somebody who can happily, comfortably wear the CTO hat, it's a little bit easier because your
Yeah.
bosses don't know what it is that you do.
Right.
But unlike DevOps, where they don't know what they do, they don't
Right.
see that necessarily as a pure implementation role.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
they're never going to ask you to come terraform everything for them,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
not for what.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super interesting. Yeah. You kind of see those kinds of things on the horizon. And yeah, I remember when I was getting started, there were, again, because I was self taught, I graduated college. I thought I was going to be working at like the Kinko's down the street because I could do like desktop publishing because I knew how to work the computers.
Yep.
And then I would see anybody that could write a software program, like their compensation was way out of proportion compared to somebody that could do like desktop publishing. And I'm not talking about value or kind of like supply and demand. I'm just talking about like why is there that huge difference? And
Yep.
I think a lot of it was, for me, it was like, well, anybody who has like Microsoft Word thinks they can do desktop publishing because they can like choose the menu and like change the font. But like, what is the equivalent for programming? Like there isn't like one. So you're like, it's like you said, they don't know what you do and they need you to do it. So
Yep.
that's a good position to be in.
Yep. And then it's just getting out there and convincing them that they trust you enough, come in and solve their problem.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it really is about trust. And that's why your early network stuff works really well. That you do have to beware, you will burn out your network.
Mhm.
I mean, no matter how comprehensive it is, if you're not
Yeah.
doing other work to invest and grow it, you will exhaust it. And everyone who is in that who's in that trust network will say, "Okay, we've now given you everything that we have,"
Right.
So you
Yeah.
have to keep working to extend it. If networking is going to be your primary play for clients acquisition, right? You have to continue. You can't,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
matter what you do, you can't stop. Every time you stop, it takes a long time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, I learned that lesson because a lot of my career I spent working with startups or at startups, meta excluded. And one of I learned by observing and I learned by doing. And I would watch these founders because it was often like the first engineering hire or second engineering hire. And I'm like, oh, okay, if you're a startup founder, you have to do everything all the time. You cannot sequence your business like, oh, I'm going to fix our marketing and then I'm going to fix our distribution. And I'm going to, no, you have to do all of those things every single day, like all the time.
And welcome to starting your own startup.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a startup of one, but it's still a startup.
Yeah, which I'm excited about because I always told myself, no, I'm not really I'm not a founder because I've worked with plenty of founders and I'm like, there's something different about those people.
Sure.
But it's
They're
exciting.
willing to believe in the existence of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When all evidence points to the contrary, they're willing to believe it.
So you're the product.
No, it's exciting.
But you're the product. You can believe in yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the key. That was the key kind of like turning point. Like, oh, there is something I can do that I actually believe in.
Yeah.
and can really invest in. And
that was sort of this pivot. I'm like, I've been doing this for the last 4 or 5 years already. So why don't I see if somebody will decide to pay me money for this?
yeah. Yeah. And I think you're doing it like I'm here. You're doing it at exactly the right time. Part of what you were saying about burning out the network, one of my theories or hypotheses is like I know enough people, like the people that I started working with 30 years ago are in the same position I'm in. You
Right.
know, it's 3 decades of work. There's a long list of things they don't want to do. And I think there's all these like there are friction points for people considering doing what you're doing or what I'm trying to do. And I think like the pie is big enough, and I think we can actually make the pie bigger that we can all be like helping each other out. I don't think that like fractional CTO A and fractional CTO B are necessarily competitive.
Right. No, they're not. They're
Yeah, so
complementary.
I've been talking. Yeah, exactly. So I've been talking to a lot of people on my network, pitching, kind of like feeling them out for what they're doing, what they want to do next. And like I know people that are like they they would love to be a fractional CTO if they were basically like super hands on and they were building like the MVP. I'm not that guy. I'm more of like strategy, like I'll do a full analysis of like every technology decision that you need to make or you're not making and you should be making, and help guide you navigate that path. But then I know other people that maybe are like, yeah, much more about building up and like operating the engineering function. And I think as long if we're like connected, again, my hypothesis is we don't have to be competitive. We can be like, strengthening our network by like having these people like at the ready or at least willing to talk to, anybody that might need their help.
So are you familiar with the concept of the listening tour?
No.
So the listening tour, super simplified, go look it up,
Yeah.
this is a founder thing too, right? Founders have to do this. This is how you find product market fit,
Mhm.
especially other than just build it and see if they come. Go out and talk to the people that are in the market that you think you're going to sell to, right? And it's not about, and this is not a sales conversation. This is
Yeah.
a networking conversation, and you can make this as simple as let's have a 5-minute chat, right? And you're going to ask them a couple of questions and you want to hear how they respond. That's this concept of listening tour.
Yeah.
You might make
Makes
it
sense.
minutes or an hour or whatever, but right, you want to keep the thing that you're focused on. And that is basically like, is there a problem that my widget solves for you? Right?
Right.
That's what you're trying to get at. This thing I want to sell, does it solve it for you? So your things they don't want to do amongst that group is a great starting point for such a listening tour, right? So you're just coming in and saying, hey, let's spend 5-15 minutes, grab a coffee, and talk about the things you don't like to do in your job. Right? Start writing those down. And then just all you're doing is listening. You're not offering suggestions. You're not offering to fill it. You're not even going to do those things.
Right.
Right. But you can now see, is there a commonality that you like?
Yeah.
And now
sense.
you've started to build out your own Venn diagrams of things that people do and things that I like.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And you've got some ideas, but like if you can get out there and be intentional with that,
Yeah.
it would be a really good first listening tour because you're kind of already on that path.
Yeah.
Then you can come around now that you've said, I want to do this. You do the same thing, but with a different group and say, and now you're targeting that. And I'm not very good at this. So don't listen to my advice on how to do it. But the concept of doing it is a really important one for any kind of startup. So if you can find a pattern that works for you and a way to say it, but then you're asking questions about, okay, so we've decided that I want to be that help the guy who helps you get your engineering team established and move away from in outsource to in-house, right? Whatever that is, and set up your organization for that. And that's the thing I focus on. So then you go to companies who you think have the problem, but you ask them the right set of questions, the right set of questions to get them to tell you whether or not it's something they would spend money on.
Yeah, that's super helpful.
And again, you're not selling. You might land some sales.
Yeah.
It's all about, it's networking and
learning.
Conversation.
Yeah.
And you tell them, hey, just like you did when you set up your business, I'm doing this type of thing too. Right. And it's just founder to founder.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's super helpful because I was talking to somebody and we were both in this position where there's a lot of ways that we could help a lot of different people with a lot of different problems. And we both were commenting on that is not like people don't find that helpful because it's like there's no structure, there's no starting point. And so what you're saying, I think, is a great way to attack that problem. And especially like if I'm meeting with a founder and we have like 15 minutes or half an hour, I could I could burn that half an hour by asking kind of like questions that aren't getting to the heart of what they need and what I can help them with. If it takes me half an hour just to get an inkling of how I could help them, that's a problem. Like that's not a profitable use of time.
And the nice thing about these conversations is it lets you practice that art of finding out what problem they have, do it in a way that you can keep repeating and exercising, learning without the pressure of sales.
Yeah, which I'm a big believer in. It's like everything is a conversation. But that's what I like about what you're saying. It's not selling, but it's also not just like a wishy-washy conversation.
Right.
There's like
hey, let's go grab a coffee. Hey, I'd like to talk to you about the business building, how we get product market fit, whatever that is, right? Like founder to founder.
Yeah.
I want to understand how these types of things relate to your business so I can think about how they do that type of thing.
Yeah, it's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I was looking at your website. Good job. There's lots of great resources. Lots of good resources.
That was crammed together at the end of December. Or I'm sorry, the end of
awesome.
So it had been in my head for a while, but it was never shipped.
That's cool. Well, yeah, and I think you really highlight the RANds stuff, and like I was like blown away because I'm like, how did I not know about in the industry for so long?
Right.
And I think you mentioned they have a call, but I'm in Hawaii actually. That call was like 5 a.m. for me, and so I was like, when I saw the time for this, I was like, oh, I'm sold. Like I can do that.
Well, awesome.
I can do 9 a.m.
I sort of picked something that wasn't in the morning because of that, like all of the other things that I do are 11 a.m. Eastern time, right? So 8 a.m. Pacific time, but I wanted to do something a little bit later, and I think this works out like noon Pacific time, so somebody has different timing, whatever.
Yeah, good stuff.
Cool. Yeah, we used to have a couple of guys come from Hawaii, but it is definitely bad schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Pacific is no problem. But yeah, so, I'm talking to people on the East Coast all the time, so that's fine. But yeah, it's like, this time was perfect. So kudos. But yeah, I mean, I was emailing somebody today. I'm like, hey, I've been able to chat whenever, but like that's changing. Like I'm looking at my calendar. It's like, full, it's getting more and more booked. But
set up something like Calendly or something to be your primary interface.
Oh yeah.
Where you could, the reason I like Calendly and not a lot of the others is because you can really control with different events the like 15-minute in gaps or whatever.
Yeah.
If you spend some time tuning it, testing it, evolving it, you can really kind of get it so you don't get those back-to-backs, or you block out 4 events and say, okay, Mondays and Tuesdays I'll talk to leads and doing other things. And you can pass it out differently like that. So
no, it's been good. I'm learning that stuff. But I think for technical folks, you tend to like be able to pick those things up pretty quickly.
But sometimes we forget to go and actually experiment and do and learn the tool that we're using, right? Sometimes so many people I see use default settings for that stuff. And it's, and I'm like, but I can make your life easier by spending 5 minutes in your settings. Let's do this.
Yeah, I'm the guy that reads the manuals to stuff. So I'm good. I don't admit that to everybody, but I feel like I'm talking to a kindred spirit.
I used to read the manuals. My wife used to write the manuals, so and
awesome.
I hit a point where I just don't anymore.
Yeah,
but I do. I experiment. I just completely like I can just poke the buttons and see what happens.
Yeah.
And hey, it works. So, well, cool. I'm trying to keep these to a half an hour. No pressure, but it's been great chatting, and I really appreciate someone coming to my very first one.
Yeah, likewise.
Definitely, connect on LinkedIn. If there's anybody, referral, whatever,
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely be sending people your way into your website. Yeah, seems like a great resource.
I really appreciate
So,
it.
yeah, I'm sure I'll see you again, and good luck with everything in the meantime.
All
Talk
right.
to you later.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, bye.